not
YouTube.
stolen yet.
First
Okay, but the
video.
owner was found deceased. That's where we're
Shout
at.
out to YouTube.
This is Taylor Elkins. Just 2 hours ago, Taylor's teacher, 72-year-old William Dubois, was discovered brutally beaten and deceased inside his home.
Hey, are they homicide or so you beat to death? Really?
What's interesting is that days later, Taylor would be found driving her now dead teacher's car.
Do you know why that's Bill's car? Because he's dead.
I don't know. I don't pay attention to him. Like, he ain't nothing to me.
He's been beat to death, and you're driving the car. I don't know that you ain't got something to do with it.
But what seemed like a straightforward case would turn out to be a complicated mess of neighborhood drama, secret affairs, and deadly conflicts.
What?
I was in bed and I heard a big beat. That's
Secret
something wrong.
affairs?
I called the
What are you
police on the
talking
other
about?
side. I've said if anybody did anything, it would be them.
Could be a burglary. Could be somebody that he wronged, and they're coming back for vengeance.
You're a rude, cold, heartless murderer. This is not going to go away. This is not going to quit. You're going to keep having your little nightmares that you have, and I hope you do for the rest of your life.
Yo, shout out to Insanity for making
On
these
July
videos,
11th,
making them like
2019,
movies.
officers in Fort Smith, Arkansas, received a call from a neighbor
First of all,
requesting a
Arkansas?
welfare check at the home
It's
of
the weirdest place to be
72-year-old
at.
William Dubois
Where
Jr. The neighbor had grown increasingly worried when he heard an unusual noise coming from William's home a few days earlier and had seen no sign of him since. Officers were quickly dispatched to investigate further.
Hello. Good. Him?
This is Denton Stringer, the neighbor who called 911 to request a welfare check. He would soon prove to be more involved in this case than just being a neighbor.
He's not answering?
He's not answering, but I was laying in my bed the other night. I heard something fall, sound like
Does he have a car?
Yeah, a car, but
Where's his car?
his car's been gone for 2-3 days.
Well, maybe he's gone. Okay.
He even told us.
Okay.
He even told us, man.
Okay.
Oh man.
You know what position his bedroom is at?
Back that way. I
Okay.
If someone
I'll
gets
come
that
back and talk to you in
suspicion
just a
right
second,
away,
okay?
that
The officer believes William might
the
just
friend
have
is not
left.
calling
That
them or
is,
anything, like,
until
just
she discovers
texting them
a
throughout the
disturbing
day.
odor
Yeah,
coming
that's
from
strange.
inside the house.
Especially if they talk every single day.
Why not station? Can we have an operator meet me on 3, please?
Due to the unusual situation, Officer Hendricks calls for a backup officer, who arrived quickly and would be briefed on the discoveries.
I have one piece of mail. He said 2 nights ago he heard a really loud boom. There's an odd smell when I open the door. No flies up here. When I rounded the corner, you only get it every now and then. Wait till you round the corner. That's when I really... Yeah, I'm getting it right here. I know that smell.
That odor could have been coming from the trash can, but Officer Hendricks was convinced it was coming from inside the house. The officers needed to get in. However, a strange odor alone was
does the
not
house
enough to
look
obtain a
like
search
that, first
warrant.
of all?
So, Officer Hendricks decided to ask
like
around the
some weird
neighborhood.
stone.
She would soon discover that Denton Stringer had done some suspicious
isn't it right
things
across the
since
street from the
William's
gas station like that?
disappearance.
Where?
But before we get to
Oh, it's
that,
on the other side,
situations like
Arkansas.
these can be especially
right there, okay.
traumatizing for those working the case, but that's also the case for people watching these videos, just like you at home. If you've ever
Okay.
felt that you need help with mental health, you should know that there are always people you can reach out to. That's why I'd like to thank BetterHelp, the sponsor of
Appreciate
today's
that.
video.
We always
I've
appreciate that.
That's right. So if you're click the link off your Officer Hendricks didn't waste any time and decided to head to the store directly across from William's house to see if anyone had seen or heard anything.
Yeah, it's hot, so. Okay, so the neighbor over there says that that man sometimes comes over and talks with y'all.
He does, man.
It's last time he saw him or hit his car.
That's what she just said. I'm not seen it in probably 2 days, but
That's what he's saying.
I'm not for sure when the last time that I know it's been 2 days that it has not
Okay.
been out there. Yeah, the next people next door, we've had some problems. I mean, not us necessarily, but they fight out there. But Bill's always been really great.
Right.
To watch our place.
Okay. The guy, the neighbor, there's some.
I mean, he come over here to call Bill's number, like a 1-800 number. And listen, I called the police on the other side because of the women out there fighting and everything, screaming from the kids. So
On his side,
Yes.
Denton? Okay.
Yes. So I've said if anybody did anything, it would be them. I mean, that's exactly. I shouldn't even say that, but because it's just odd that they come over
teacher at my junior high. So these people over here are saying that the guy next door is like always has some type of drama going on. Him and whoever are always fighting. Not him and Bill, but him and someone else. I mean, worst case scenario is somebody's, done something bad and took his car.
What the shop owner just revealed is very significant. Firstly, William, who is known around the neighborhood by Bill, hasn't been seen for the past 2 to 3 days, which is highly unusual according to the shop owner. Secondly, William's neighbor, Denton Stringer, is known to have frequent drama at his house involving various women. Recently, Denton had asked the shop owner to call William to check on him, explaining that his daughter had stolen his phone. If true, this daughter might be the same woman Denton argues with often, and if she took his phone, there is a possibility she could also be linked to William's car missing. Finally, the shop owner claims that if something bad happened to William, it would be them, suggesting that Denton and the daughter were likely involved. All of this casts suspicion on both Denton and his daughter. Officers hope that whatever they find inside William's house might reveal just how involved they were in his disappearance. With all of this in her head, Officer Hendricks returns to William's house, where officers had managed to contact the landlord for an additional key. Nothing could have prepared them for the horrifying scene they would discover inside.
Oh no. I'm already getting the. Oh, it's a dead body right there.
Really?
There's some here, some behind the chair.
I wonder what it is.
And there's no TV in the living room. It's missing.
As officers enter the house, they find William's lifeless body in the bathroom. It soon becomes clear that this was no natural passing.
And that's his daughter?
Is that splatter on the door frame?
What?
Is that splatter on the door frame?
Yes, like,
Okay.
there's stuff
I'm just
right
gonna.
there.
Oh, wow. Maybe his door was unlocked. There's no phone either.
What the officers had discovered was nothing short of horrific, but the attacker had left a lot of clues, meaning police could piece together a story. For starters, the body had a strong, rotten smell, indicating that William had likely been dead for over 24 hours. Throughout the house, shelves and drawers had been left open, with numerous valuables missing. This initially led investigators to believe it was a robbery. However, this is where they discovered something very curious. The front door had been locked from the outside, and there were no signs of forced entry. Officers realized that a scenario like this couldn't be possible unless William's attacker somehow had a key to his house. In other words, whoever did this to William must have a closer connection to him than a random burglar.
Exactly.
This made the shop owner's earlier comments even more interesting to police. They had mentioned that if anything happened to William, it would probably be Denton and his so-called daughter, both of whom were close enough to William to have been given a spare
Hey, that's
key.
his daughter.
So with
That's
no
Denton's-
better leads, Denton
no,
quickly
that's-
became the main focus of the
That's the other
investigation,
guy's
and
daughter.
police began to wonder if he was
The one
simply a
that died.
concerned neighbor or if
What
he
the
knew
fuck is
far
going
more
on?
about William's death than he was letting on.
I didn't even notice his TV's missing too. TV's missing. No wallet, no phone. No forced entry. I think we need to talk to this guy. He just got here. Oh, I told Jeff.
Told Jeff what these people were.
Yeah, I talked with them over there. They said he comes over a lot and talks with them. And they said if anything ever happened to him, it would be because of somebody over at his apartment. He noticed that there's some red fuzz all over the place. I'm not sure what that is.
He's laying on the blanket that the fuzz I think came from. But there's fuzz in like the kitchen. There's fuzz on this couch right here.
All the doors in his bedroom are open. Keys, wallet, phone, stuff that normally would be laying out.
So he's got a random. What kind of car? I got it. He just
How
told
do
me it
you,
was red.
how do you
It's a
even
red
get
Ford
to this
Focus.
point,
We have the
first
tag
of
and
all?
everything. And Courtney just sent out a bolo, did not release any information.
How
She
does
said,
somebody
just
even
stop this
decide
vehicle
to
and
get
notify
to
our
a point
department.
like this and not realize?
To find
wait, I might be
answers,
just
the
fucking
cops
up
needed
with
to locate
receiving
that red Ford
having this
Focus,
thought.
which was now on the radar of the entire Fort Smith Police Department.
This
Whoever had
consequence is
possession of
shit.
Williams' vehicle could undoubtedly help solve this
People don't
case,
really
but the
understand
officers
that.
had no idea where to start
Either
looking
you feel- if
until
you feel like
Williams'
you're not
son
gonna get
arrived at
caught
the
up,
scene,
you're gonna get
providing them
caught up.
with
That's-
a major breakthrough.
It's just something
That's his
that's
son.
inevitable.
That's his son.
Inevitable? I don't know how you say it. I think I said that.
10-4.
There's a
Every
little,
unit out here, please.
Black box in the tractor, yeah.
Did you say where it went, where the car's at?
Mom does that with her cars.
He says there is a track, but it's not at his mom's house.
Mom does it with her cars too.
But the car's not at the mom's house.
No.
According to the Sun, William had a GPS tracking device installed in his car, and the car is actually owned by William's wife, Susan, who has access to a mobile app that could track his location. The cops now know this tracking device is their only key to crack the case wide open and catch the killer. So with this in mind, officers would quickly redirect their attention to Susan's home. But unfortunately, they'd also have the difficult task of informing Susan that her husband passed away.
Damn, man. That's sad.
Cubby! Yeah, wait, he's in the rest.
Damn.
Hi, Miss Susan. I'm Officer Hendricks. I'm sorry meeting you under these circumstances.
Damn, man, that's sad, bro.
I've seen you at Northside Games.
I have been there. Now, during
Damn,
the,
man.
you want to sit down for a minute?
No, I'm fine.
What's wrong with this girl?
It might be better on your legs.
Yeah.
Just
have a seat.
experiencing that.
In every death investigation, we do a complete investigation from top to bottom because we don't want to leave any stone unturned. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm a retired nurse, so.
Okay. Well, and we're not saying this is a homicide at this point, okay?
No, he
But-
had a heart condition
Right.
and strokes.
And he could have fell and hit his head, but there's some blood there that we're concerned about. Does that make sense?
He probably fell.
Okay.
He
And now,
was acting
our-
so strange
here-
Saturday.
Here's our biggest
What?
issue. He was acting strange Saturday. Okay. Here's our biggest we have right now is the car is missing.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Yep.
Where's your tracker? Do you have a tracker on that?
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Her phone, right here, right here.
No, that's Teresa's.
Okay.
Mine's in the kitchen.
Okay.
Or in the bathroom.
Somebody run get her phone. If you can try to get me a location on that car, that's going to help us.
It's gonna be tremendous.
And it could be the fact that he left it somewhere and got right home with somebody. It could be a business.
Damn, man. You got the whole family out there.
Off Kelly Highway.
That's it.
Pretty sure it's stationary.
It's parked at a house. Oh snap.
And it's through JB Byrider too. The car is at JB.
Who's north?
It's through JB Byrider.
What? Okay.
Yo, they're about to go over there.
Thanks to Susan, the cops now know where the missing vehicle is. Without wasting any time, officers quickly leave Susan's house and head towards the location of the car, but they have no idea who has it or what kind of
Insanity production, man. You never fail. That's all I gotta say.
danger they could be facing when they find it. After all, this is the stolen car of a murdered man.
Hello? How you doing? Y'all live here?
I don't. I'm going to leave my law for me.
Okay. You live here?
No, I just come to the yard.
Okay.
Yes, sir. What's wrong?
They're looking out the window. We got people looking out the window, so let's. You got an ID on you?
Yes, ma'am. I have an ID. I will know it's actually in that. It's actually in the wallet. So just
Where's your wallet at?
Channel 1.
Okay, let's go inside. Let's go inside. Let's go get your wallet. No. You can go. You can do whatever you gotta do.
she make her go too.
Oh, hang tight. We're gonna be parked there for a
I think
second.
that she should have to go too.
Go where?
Whoever.
Go inside with us? I mean, she can. Hang tight for me right here. We're gonna come. We're gonna all go over here. Let's all go over here.
What's going on?
I don't know. Let's go over here.
I mean, what have we done something wrong?
Yeah. Something's going on. Go over there and we'll explain it to you.
It seems there's someone
Why are they
in
not
this
explaining?
house who wants to avoid the cops. And these officers
Oh.
know they could be walking into an ambush, so everybody behind that door is a person of interest.
Okay, so basically, they came out the back. They tried to go out the back.
It's over, chat.
They said they were going outside to smoke. Somebody just shut the front door on me. So
Portsmouth Police Department.
hey, come out with your hands up. We know you're in here. Come out. Portsmouth Police Department. Go ahead, hold traffic.
Channel less than 33.
Come on.
Hey, come out. Come out. It's okay. It's okay. Just come out on the side of the house.
What have we done wrong?
Who else is here?
It's an investigation. Investigation?
We're gonna explain that. We're gonna explain that. Who else is in here? Come on.
What's going on?
Just walk out to that side of the house for me. Who else is in here? Is anybody else in here? Just walk out here, right here, to the right. Thank you.
What's going on here?
Taylor. Elkins.
That's Taylor Elkins. Who else is in here? Okay. Go ahead and step out. No, go ahead and step out.
That's her
Portsmouth
right
Police,
there.
it's your last time to come out freely. Come out with your hands up. Keep your hands in the air where I can see them. Keep your hands in the air where I can see them. Good. Keep walking. Keep walking. Walk toward me.
Randall Perkins, correct?
Pickens. Okay. Randall, go ahead. Step off that porch and to your right on the side of the house, okay? Who else is back here? Be real with me. This
I
isn't-
don't know who came out.
Officers would go on to conduct a room-by-room
Don't know
sweep
who
of the
came out,
house
but
and
who's
confirm it
inside?
was empty before returning outside to face a different challenge. A handful of detained suspects with potential ties to Williams' missing car. Among the small group, officers noted a mix of faces, some nervous, some indifferent, but it wasn't immediately clear who knew what until the question of the red car came up.
all these subjects were inside the house. When asked any of them, who's this red car, they all pointed to Taylor Elkins.
The moment Officer Shelby asked who owned the red Ford parked out front, everyone pointed, without hesitation, at the same person, Taylor Elkins. The first woman who exited the house earlier when
Yeah,
police
right
barged
there.
inside. Having possession of a man's car who had
Yeah, you
just
could
turned
just-
up dead is naturally
just
going
see
to
her
raise
whole
suspicion.
demeanor.
And surprisingly, Taylor
like-
herself would go on to admit
Like
that
she's like-
indeed the car belongs to her.
Here's the deal. One of the females that
She's
got out
like
of here,
trying to hide something.
when I said, well,
You can
who's
just
this car
feel
belong to right here? Everyone pointed at me. I said, that's your car? She said, yeah, that's my car.
With this revelation, the focus was pinned directly on Taylor, and it was time for her to explain how she ended up in the possession of a dead man's car.
Yeah, that's wicked to even explain. There's just
Taylor,
no way going
Officer
back on
Hendricks,
that.
obviously. Did he read you your Miranda rights? He did. Like your right to an attorney, everything like that.
Yo, the way she's looking like
Okay,
she
where'd
needs
you
to
get the
be
car?
in jail ASAP.
I already told him.
You tell me.
I did, okay, yeah, that boardwalk, it's just like a friend. That's it. His name's Sean, but I don't know his last name. And
White or black?
He's white, but I don't think he thought it was stolen. I don't know.
No, I didn't say it was stolen.
No, I'm saying, like, I don't know.
Okay, I'm just
I really
asking
don't know
about
how he got it, though. But
Okay.
I'm saying, like, I was like, dude, like,
You got your phone on you?
no, I don't got nothing. I don't got
Where's your phone at? In there?
I don't got a phone.
Come on, everybody got a phone.
She
No.
She didn't have a phone when I arrested her 2
Thank
weeks
you.
ago.
I
Okay.
really, I don't. My daughter shouted
She
at
had
my
to use
shit.
her girlfriend's phone at the time.
So you got it from Sean in the first entrance off of Albert Pike to 4201 Kincaid. Boardwalk.
Yeah, that's just weird. First of all, having a phone 2025.
Okay. You give him any money for it or
No,
anything?
like, he likes me like that. We're
There's
just
no
friends.
way.
What's his name on Facebook?
Sean, I don't know. I don't have a phone. I don't get on my Facebook
Okay.
no more.
All right.
Despite Taylor's vague recollection of how she came in possession of William's car, officers managed to get a name from her, Sean, who is a friend of Taylor that she borrowed the car from, or at least that's what she claims.
She
If her
looks
story is
special.
not a complete fabrication, then whoever Sean is could be the key to solving this case. However, it's at this time that officers realized they didn't know nearly enough about Taylor, her background, her relationships, and whether she might be tied to Denton Stringer, the neighbor who was already under suspicion. So over the next few minutes, we will follow these officers in real time as they connect the dots and discover critical information in one of the best detective works we have ever covered.
Hey, I arrested her
I got
like
lucky.
2 weeks ago.
I'm
Or
Is he a white guy?
Yeah.
I think that's a baby daddy to her or something like that.
Is her baby daddy?
She's got 2 kids.
Okay. Yes.
Hey, Checo. Come here. That's Taylor's grandparents' house.
That's what I said, because the address looked familiar, and then when I heard she was coming out here, it's like, I know this chick. Hey, are they homicide or?
Oh, so he's beat to death.
Really?
Where's she at?
Taylor, she's back in Shilton's car.
Hey, you know that's her grandparents' house, right? The South Greenwood address is her grandparents' house. Hers.
What the
Yeah, I swear to you.
fuck,
She's
yeah.
bonded out to that address out of Crawford County. She's got like 10 felonies pending. I swear to you. Is it?
The officer just made a crucial connection. Taylor's last known address, given to police during her previous arrest, was her grandparents' house, and the same duplex that William lived in.
What the hell? That is too much.
I said I think that's, yeah.
1800 South Greenwood. Hey, Sarge. Sarge. Sarge.
Give me just a...
Her address is the neighbor's address.
Huh?
Her address is the neighbor's. 1800 South Greenwood is her
That's
uncle or her grandpa or her dad.
That's what I'm telling you. That's her grandpa's house, and she's bonded out there. She's got like 10 pending
1800
felonies in
South Greenwood
Crawford.
is all in ISIS about it. I think this is.
She's bonded out there because I arrested her 2 weeks ago, and then like a week after.
Her address is.
It's the 1800 South Greenwood. She's
One to the right
got
or the one to
domestic
the left?
assault. The guy that called it in.
Wow.
That's his is 1800 because our guy's is 1800.
The officers
That's
figured it
wild.
out. The 2 prime suspects were related. Taylor was Denton's granddaughter, and likely the daughter the woman in the shop had found suspicious earlier. But what these officers are about to discover next would put the spotlight solely on Taylor.
Ballman has her on camera leaving on the 8th in the car. Leaving the address. 8. Yeah.
So 3 days.
About 3 days, yeah.
Yeah,
This is
she
Monday
lost-
night.
She lost.
Yeah, the decomp path. Yeah, it's about 2 days, 3 days.
With this final piece of evidence, it is safe to conclude that Taylor Elkins has a major role in William's
She
death,
just looks
and detectives
guilty.
needed
Look
to
at
get
her.
to the bottom of her involvement. The other detained
all
individuals were briefly
laughing. What's going on?
questioned, but no one had direct ties to William or knew anything about the stolen vehicle. So with no solid evidence against them, they were released. With the on-scene investigation at its end, the next move was
Damn.
obvious, taking Taylor in for a formal interrogation.
Okay.
A few hours later, Taylor is placed inside an interrogation room and left by herself for the next 10 minutes, giving her enough time to come up with a plausible alibi to go with. What Taylor doesn't realize is that when the detective walks in, he has information that will completely disprove every excuse she has.
Look at her taking a nice little yawn before she
Hello.
goes.
How are you? Could have been better. All right, Taylor. So you know why you're down here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, why are you down here?
So supposedly the car is stolen. I don't know. I had it in my. Well, I didn't have it in my custody. Well, I don't know how to say it. It wasn't in my property. I wasn't in the car or nothing like that. But it was stolen, and everybody pointed their fingers at me. And I mean, I admitted to driving it. So yeah.
Okay. And where did you get it from?
This dude named Sean.
Sean who?
I don't know his last name. I don't know his last name. I say hey to him basically. He's
What?
a friend. Like
You
he
just say
does
hey to him?
drugs, you know. So I mean, I don't know everybody's last name.
You been arrested lately?
Yeah.
When's the last time you were arrested?
Last week.
Last
That's
week?
when I got my kids taken.
Okay.
It was
And,
Miller and this other guy.
and when you bonded out,
I got signature on it.
okay, what address do you use when you bond out?
It's Windsor.
You sure?
Where's my grandpa's?
Who's your
You
grandpa?
Denton.
Didn't.
Stringer. See, that's why I'm bonded out too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm bonded.
Did he bond you out?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Where's his
He
address?
can afford it. 1800
1800 what?
Greenwood Avenue.
Okay, when's the last time prior to that you were over there?
2 days ago.
And what were you doing over there then?
My grandpa. I
Okay.
haven't bonded out. I just chill over there.
Just chill over there?
Yeah.
In just a few minutes, this detective was able to make Taylor confirm most of the evidence connecting her to the crime. In her own words, Taylor admitted that Denton Stringer is indeed her grandfather. She had William's car for a few days, and most importantly, she was at Denton's house the same period when William was killed. But this detective was just getting started, and he's about to make Taylor dig her own grave.
So what about the guy that lives right next door from you? You know him?
Yes.
Who's that?
His name's Bill.
Bill what?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know people's last names.
Oh.
Yeah.
How old's Bill?
Oh, I don't know.
When's the last time you seen Bill?
I don't know. I don't know. He works the other day.
So this car you've been riding around in, whose car is that?
I don't know.
You never seen that car before?
I've seen it.
Where?
There.
Where?
Oh my.
Where, Taylor? Where, Taylor?
There. That's the car.
She's trying to play victim.
Wow.
I think you kind of knew that.
No, I didn't.
Yo, she's trying to gaslight it.
I think you did. I think you know Bill.
I know Bill, yeah.
How well do you know him?
I don't know him that well.
And when's the last time you seen him?
Like I said, like he comes in and out. I don't know. I don't pay attention to him. Like he ain't nothing to me.
Really?
He ain't nothing to me.
You kind of got all defensive all of a sudden on me. I'm just kind of
Because
curious.
you all up in my face now.
No, you got all defensive before I ever stood over
No, like you're in my face. Like,
yeah. And this,
Yeah.
I want to make sure that we're understanding each other.
and we are.
Okay.
I don't, like, I don't know. I don't like pay attention. I be doing my own thing all the time.
Okay.
So.
Yo.
Why are you staring at me?
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out if you're being honest with me.
I am. I'm actually being honest with you.
Taylor is trapped. She just implicated herself further by admitting that she knows William and, to her surprise, was driving his very car. After this brilliant line of questioning, the detective tells Taylor to sit tight and leaves the room. During this time, he would make a phone call to Taylor's grandfather, Denton Stringer, and Denton would tell him that Taylor was at his house a few days ago along with two white males. With this information at hand, the detective comes back to the interrogation room with one goal: make Taylor confess to whatever she did inside William's home.
You literally don't have to speak.
Take a nap?
Hi.
You and me both, girl. I'm old. I need my beauty sleep. Can't you tell?
I'm legit tired.
So let me ask you something. You have a phone? You don't have a phone? How come?
My daughter shattered it.
She did what?
She shattered it.
Oh, how long have you been without a phone?
Huh?
How long have you been without a phone?
Like total 2.5 weeks.
She's acting so
Taylor,
hard.
You went to your dad's today. Were you there earlier this week, like Monday or Tuesday? Well, let me rephrase that. You were there earlier this week, and you had two white males with you. Who was those two white guys that were with you? Because I've already talked to your grandpa. Okay, and right there beside your grandpa's at school.
Yeah.
That school's got video, and it shows you showing up with two white males. So I'm just kind of curious. Who are those two white males on?
I don't even remember Jordan Else.
You know? So, you don't believe that's Bill's car?
I mean, if it is, that's fucking amazing.
Even when directly confronted with undeniable facts, Taylor continues to play dumb, even making a mockery of the entire situation. So, in order to make it clear to Taylor that this is a serious situation, the detective would reveal the true reason she's in the interrogation room. Because she is a murder suspect.
You know why that's Bill's car? Because he's dead. They beat him to death. And you're driving the car from a man who's been beat to death. And I don't know that you ain't got something to do with it. And you want to play tough girl with me, and let me tell you, this is not going to work out for you real good. He's been beat to death.
No.
You think I'm lying? You think? Why the hell do you think I'm here? You know why I'm here? Do you know what my title is? Homicide. Hey, it's got real. You talk about losing your girls, you're fixing to lose them for a lifetime.
You do nothing, though.
You know what? You're knee deep in this shit right now. This just got
I do
real.
nothing.
You better start coming clean with what you know.
I told you.
I'm just letting you know. Here's where we're at, Taylor. I'm gonna be honest with you.
She woke up.
This can go either really good for Taylor.
She woke up
Or
now.
this can go really bad for Taylor because I can promise you I'm really good at what I do.
Pick
If I
your
can
head up.
catch you in a lie, and if you lie to me, I will put you in prison for the rest of your little life. Just know that.
Now that Taylor understands the severity of everything and is deeply emotional, the detective will seize the moment to confront her by exploiting her vulnerable state in hopes that the emotional pressure will break her defenses and compel her to finally tell the truth.
I'm not threatening you.
I feel like I'm being threatened.
I am promising you. So, if you give a damn about Bill, if you didn't kill him, if you didn't beat the hell out of that old man, you're driving the car that was taken after they beat him. You better come up with who had this damn car or who you took over there with you that seen him and went back and targeted him.
I told you I got it from
Listen to me. Here's the truth. You better start coming up with some full names. Because you know what? Who do you need to think of right now? Who's the most important person in your life right now?
Baby.
You and your babies. You better take care of them.
I tell you.
You better think hard. Because I got all night. Hell, I get paid by the hour. I'll stay here all weekend. You're driving around a dead man's car.
I didn't know he was dead. I wasn't there.
But you know the people who probably killed him.
Yo.
No, you. I got the car.
Shot who? In the apartments that you pointed out?
Yeah.
The guy, old man died in it, had a heart attack and died in one last week, and the other one's got an old woman that lives in it.
That's fine. No.
I'm giving you an opportunity right now.
Okay, I'm telling you.
Okay, tell me.
I told you. I'm telling you. Like, bro.
Let me ask you this. If you had to get Sean right now, where would you go get him at?
What?
What apartment number?
It's a corner. There's 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah,
It's
now
either
you start
5 or
snitching.
6.
This is when
Now it seems like Taylor has a story to prove her alibi. Taylor claims that William's car belongs to a man named Sean, who she borrowed the car from recently. If what she's saying is true, then Sean could very well be the perpetrator of this evil crime. However, Taylor would also proceed to point more accusations towards Sean, telling the detective that he assaulted her, ruined her life, and took her kids away. This means that Taylor was likely involved in a relationship with Sean for a good amount of time. But what's strange about this entire story is that every time the detective asks Taylor for personal information about this Sean guy, she dodges the questions and refuses to give any information away. So, with Taylor seemingly uncooperative, the detective would end this interview to get to the bottom of her claims and figure out who Sean really is. And what they discovered would put Taylor in an even worse situation.
Been thinking about anything?
Oh, I fell asleep. I just thought it like hurts really bad.
Had a little issue.
You don't even give a fuck.
Is this the guy you said you got a car from? Are you sure? Well, what told you he's in jail? What told you he's been in jail since June the 6th?
Oh shit.
You think I'm making this up?
No.
So if he's in jail, how did he give you the car?
It was him. Heavy sure.
You better rethink this, Taylor. That's looking like you killed him.
No, yeah, I knew it wasn't me.
You think it's funny?
No, I said it wasn't me.
Well, you better figure it out then, because you just lied.
Well, I didn't.
Sean giving her the car was a completely fabricated story, and the detective just proved it. So, with this major lie exposed, Taylor is taken away to sleep in jail while detectives work on finding more incriminating evidence against her. The next day, Taylor is brought back into the interrogation room in an orange jumpsuit. This time, the detective has prepared undeniable evidence to thoroughly debunk her entire alibi and make her confess.
Yeah.
Is it? You wanna know what happened to Bill?
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause I didn't know to see a picture of it.
You believe he's dead now?
Yeah.
You still think this is all a joke?
Yo.
No.
You sleep last
I'm
night?
not gonna lie, being an investigator,
You won't sleep.
interrogator, that must be a fun job.
There's only one way you're ever
Besides
gonna
seeing
get
all
any
them
relief,
dead bodies.
or you're gonna get any closure. And you're gonna have to tell us the truth of everything you know, and you haven't done it yet. And it's gonna be the hardest thing for you to do. But it's the only way you're gonna get any peace ever.
Mm-hmm.
At a minimum, if you didn't do it, you know who did?
Mm-hmm.
Are you scared of the person who's involved in this?
No, he's involved in it. You really do get stuff out of people by threatening them,
I'm not threatening
them,
you. Girl,
laying on their face
yeah,
and stuff.
I haven't got in your face.
I'm saying like you.
I hadn't threatened you. I'm letting you know what's fixing to happen to you.
Because you don't believe anything.
I'm sorry?
You don't believe anything.
I don't believe liars. Okay? And you're a damn liar.
You need to be out there getting a real killer.
Well, you need to be helping us. If you even cared about the old man that's been beat to death and shot, you need to be helping us.
You just shot it.
You don't think he was shot?
Was he?
You tell me.
You just showed me the top.
You not see enough? You don't see again to get a better
No,
look?
I don't.
I want you to remember that picture every night of your life.
Of course you do.
Every night.
That's crazy.
Elkin's body language has shifted from cocky and playful to scared and confused, and just about everything else in between. Her behavior would change again after she's allowed to make a phone call to her mother, where she'd stop pleading innocence and start playing the victim. She's now going to paint a picture of a man named Joseph Rogers, better known as Joe, that will make him out to be the bad guy.
Who's Joe? Yo, this girl is wild. She's just picking up everybody's name.
For you to tell us the truth.
That's true. I mean, I told y'all the truth today, but I didn't tell y'all all of it.
Tell us again what happened and exactly the truth the way it happened, okay?
I did. Joe came over that night and he asked me what he had in the house, and I told him that he didn't have shit. He's like, "Will you knock on the door?" I knocked on the door. And then he went in, I left. That's when I went to McDonald's. And I came back. He told me he took care of it. I didn't kill him, though. I didn't do nothing like that.
When he said he took care of it.
He told me that at the casino because I asked him. I kept asking him what happened. Because I didn't want to part in it, so I was scared. You know, I didn't want to go in there or nothing. I didn't know what happened. And I kept asking him what happened. He kept telling me that he took care of it, that it's okay, that he finished it, blah, blah, there's nothing gonna come about it. And he just kept telling me that he's like, you need to get rid of those TVs, blah, blah, blah. He said, I'm not touching them. And that's when I had Pete on him. Like, I didn't know. If I knew all that, I would have took his car. Like, if I knew he was dead like that, where you like, I just.
Elkins has implicated Joe by claiming he'd taken care of William while he was robbing him of his belongings. She also claims he's behind the whole thing and she was too terrified to stop him. If this wasn't the third story she'd came up with, the detectives may have believed her. But what Elkins doesn't realize is that the detectives have potential evidence that will place her at the scene of the crime and prove she's been lying all along.
She's still
lying. One thing that is concerning is the fact that Bill does have hair in his hand. Okay? And we had a detective down there during his autopsy who states that the hair is the same color as yours. And Joe doesn't have any hair. So where would that come from?
Because I didn't see him at first. That's the truth. That's why I gave a hair sample. To walk with the eyes falling. Yeah, that's why I gave a hair sample, because I didn't.
Did you ever see Bill after McDonald's?
If If that lock of hair they found on William's body belongs to Elkins, then her stories will mean nothing, as the physical evidence will do the talking for her. But right now, that's not the only thing she has to worry about, as detectives have even more evidence that proves her whole story has been a lie from the very beginning, and it's all thanks to the GPS tracker William's wife installed in his car. That GPS tracker would also help detectives to map everywhere she had been from the very moment she stepped in the car, and then use the CCTV to determine who was inside the vehicle.
I know you don't have me. I'm sorry. Got a job to do. I hope you understand that. Let me show you another picture. Who's that?
Where is that at?
Well, there he is in the car with you. In Bill's car.
That's Joe.
Is Joe the one who killed him? Joe was with you when you left the house. And when y'all went to the casino. Did Joe kill him? Here's your opportunity. We got the evidence. There's a tracker on the car. We take it straight from when you left there. You go to Kavanaugh, you go to the casino. So you need to get this real for you real quick. So you need to think about this. Because we're fixing to take this to the prosecutor to get a warrant for you for murder. So you better start thinking if you want to take the rap or you want to be honest, because we're running out of time. No, you ain't. No, you ain't. I just showed you. I've not hit nothing. I didn't say you watched.
Like,
I didn't say you watched, but I said you know. But here's the thing.
Wait, okay, so people are supposed to come up and tell me, right?
Now that you're protecting him, you'll be charged as an
How am I
accomplice.
protecting him?
You know what happened.
So people just come up and tell me all the time now that people murdered somebody. No.
This is your last chance. This is your life. I'll be back with that murder warrant.
Okay, come back with it.
Taylor's arrogance with the entire situation has seemed to finally have caught up to her, and her extreme stubbornness has left the detectives with no choice other than to resort to other methods of incriminating suspects, such as DNA samples, hair samples, and last but not least, the polygraph. The polygraph test was done off camera. However, the polygraph examiner would have some harsh words for Taylor after the test had concluded.
Test results are not good. Showing that you were showing deception. Deception means that you're trying to deceive. You're not being truthful.
I am.
I brought this in here to show you. You see that question that says R5? And that big spike on it? That's where you were telling us a lie. You were lying to me when I asked you in the test, were you present when he was attacked?
Not when he was killed. But attacked, maybe, not killed.
When I asked you, did you kill him? Your reading is stronger than that.
Oh my God.
I am just trying to clarify.
Because you're just getting on my nerves right now. I'm not in the mood today. I've had.
Well, I really don't give a shit if you're in the mood or not.
Of course you don't.
All right?
You're a rude person.
I'm not a rude person.
Yes, you are.
You're a rude, cold, heartless murderer. That's what you are.
No, I'm not.
Look at you. You have no defense for yourself.
I'm not though.
Because you killed the old man.
No, I didn't. I know what I'm capable of.
Yeah, you're capable of that. You're right in the middle of all of it. And why you don't think you think you're so tough?
I told y'all what
You
happened.
ain't told us nothing. You make up everything to point the finger at everybody else.
But I don't.
You do, 100%.
No, I don't.
This is not going to go away. This is not going to quit.
Okay.
You're going to keep having your little nightmares that you have, and I hope you do for the rest of your fucking life.
Taylor would never formally confess during the rest of the interrogation, continuing to point fingers, blame others, sometimes being completely imaginary people, and playing the victim. William Dubois Jr. had suffered from 27 impact injuries and met a terrifying end the day of his death. The hair sample found in William's hand was eventually matched to the hair of Taylor's, adding one final cherry on top to help convict her. Detectives ultimately believed Elkins was responsible. Although she didn't confess to the cops, she allegedly made a confession during her incarceration. She also told another inmate that she went to William's house to borrow some money and had become angry when he didn't have any. So out of both frustration and pure evil, she grabbed a hammer and beat the life out of William without any remorse. Taylor's grandfather, Denton Stringer,
shit.
was initially investigated as a potential suspect. However, with no solid evidence connecting him to Williams' murder or Taylor's involvement, authorities ruled him out. As for Joseph Rogers and Sean, they were both cleared of any involvement in Williams' death. The two had nothing to do with the crime whatsoever and were simply scapegoats for Taylor to point fingers at. As for Taylor, she was charged with first-degree murder on October 9th, 2019, and in January 2020, she accepted a plea deal that meant she'd avoid a life sentence. Instead, she was sentenced to over 40 years in prison.
Yeah.
Her first chance at parole will come in 2059.
Good. Take her ass out of here, bro, because that was some straight deceiving, conniving piece of shit type of female, man. You don't even do some type of thing like that, especially with a hammer, yo. Oh my god, man, yo, I appreciate yo. Everybody, hit that smash that like button, hit that follow, subscribe. This is gonna be my first YouTube video. This is gonna be my first reaction. If you guys want something more like this, let me know, and then you guys get comment down below. Let me know how you guys feel. All that type of good stuff. I'm gonna put all my information down there, you guys. Appreciate all that type of good stuff.